Hey guys, today I wanted to make a quick video going over some topics that I had always wondered about as a beginner. These topics really aren't big enough to have a whole video on their own and not something guitarists really talk about a lot, but something that I think is important to know as a beginner and some things that I always wondered about. As a disclaimer, these are just my opinions. They're not going to be agreed with by everyone, I'm sure. This is just my opinion on these questions. So the first one is, should I play songs or scales? My answer is both. They're both important. I think songs are a little bit more important, but they're both very important. Scales become more important when you're learning about music theory and how it works into guitar, which you can learn at from the beginning. It's really not a big deal when you learn it, but I think scales, they take more to apply them. But I do think when you're learning scales, it's important to play them to a metronome because it's a little bit easier to control the rhythm of scales than a song that you're trying to learn. So if you are practicing scales, practice them to a metronome to get your timing down. I think one really important thing to note though as a beginner is that you really just want to be playing whatever gets you to pick up a guitar. Whatever makes you pick up a guitar is what you should be playing. If that's playing the same song over and over and over again because you love that song, play that. If it's learning a new song, then play that. If it's scales, then play that. You should never not want to pick up the guitar because you know you need to play scales. If knowing you need to play scales makes you never pick up the guitar, then don't play scales. Scales will always be there. You can get to them later when you're playing guitar. Just play whatever makes you pick up the guitar and want to play. I kind of think about it like the gym. If you go in there with the best workout, but you only work out a couple times a month, you're not going to get as much progress as someone that goes in there and just moves around and does lifts, but's there every single day or 5 days a week. You really just want to get on the guitar and playing, and you'll see huge gains in your improvement. It kind of leads into the second question, should I practice with a metronome? My answer is yes. Across the board, you're going to get a yes on that. The reason is because it helps with your timing. There's been times when I was a beginner where I recorded myself playing a song, and you should do this just for yourself to experiment with, but there's always parts of songs that we feel more comfortable playing or we pick up faster or easier than other parts, and I would be playing really fast through the parts that I knew really well, and then once it got to a part that I didn't know so well or struggled on, I would go slower. And it's not obvious when you're playing because your mind is racing, but in a video it's very obvious when you're picking up and slowing your speeds in a song. And just like I said with scales, it's easier to practice it to a scale than a song, although you can do it to a song and I recommend doing it to a song, but scales, it's just easier. Another way to get your timing down when it comes to songs is to play the backing tracks. Put the song up on YouTube and slow it down to 75%. If you can't play it at the full 100%, slow it down to whatever. You can make custom settings. You can put it 80%, 85%, whatever you need to do. But like I said, you just don't want to be fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, because you're struggling or you're better at parts than other parts. You want to be even across the board. If that means that you're playing the parts you know really well slower to keep up with your parts you don't know as well, then I think that's important. And like I said, you can't really notice it, but anybody watching you or on video, you'd be able to notice it. So the next thing I think a lot of beginners are wondering about is, when should I get pedals? If you're somebody that's into guitar and you're watching videos and you're talking to people, pedals are all the rage. Everyone loves pedals and collecting pedals. My advice is, I think you should get pedals once you've exhausted all the effects on your amp. Now I have a Boss Katana amp, which comes with Boss Tone Studio. And with Boss Tone Studio on my computer, there's Metal Zone, Tube Screamer, reverb, chorus, there's all kinds of stuff. So it would take me a long time to try and do something that Boss Tone Studio can't do. Now, do the pedals sound better? Yes. If I have a Metal Zone pedal compared to Metal Zone on the Boss Tone Studio, the Metal Zone pedal sounds better to me, I think. But the point is, I have it for free, technically. If you bought the amp, you have all those effects. So if you have a more basic amp, you may be running out of all of your effects quicker, and you might need to get into pedals sooner if you want to get that effect. But if you have like the Positive Grid Spark amps, those come with a lot of the newer amps, the newer technology amps are coming with a lot of effects built in. Like I said, I don't think they're as good as the pedals, but you really don't need the pedals if you're the only one listening to it. But it's your money and you can get into pedals whenever you want. This is just my opinion. I think the first good pedal to get is a pedal tuner because you'll always be able to use that. You'll be using it all the time. It's kind of an expensive alternative to a clip-on tuner, but they're going to last longer. They're more accurate. It's something good to have if you're going to stick with guitar, to have a pedal tuner. And once you do get gigging and have a full pedal board, the pedal tuner will mute your signal, which is very beneficial. I would also say start slow with pedals. Don't start buying a bunch at once. Don't get crazy because they will accumulate very quickly. Also, get pedals you'll use. Don't get a chorus pedal because you heard someone tell you needed a chorus pedal. Don't get a fuzz pedal because someone said you need a fuzz pedal if you're never going to use a fuzz pedal. Don't buy a looper if you don't plan on looping. Get things that you need to sound the way you want to sound. If you've been playing for a while and you don't know what kind to get, but you really want pedals, then I would start looking at what type of pedals your favorite guitarists use. You can also look up videos on YouTube of beginner guitar pedal boards and stuff like that. That'll give you like the bare bones, say 5 pedals you need to cover a lot of sounds. Okay, something I thought about a lot when I was a beginner was what type of pickup should I have? You basically have single coil, P90, and humbucker to pick between. Single coil and humbucker, I think, are more popular than P90. First of all, what sounds good to you? Do you not like the Strat single coil sound? Then don't get single coils. If you like darker metal sort of sounds, get humbuckers. I think the most important thing is whatever type of music you like playing or like listening to or plan on playing is what you should get. If you like Eric Clapton and John Mayer and Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan, then you're probably going to want to get a Strat with 3 single coils. If you like Slash or anybody that's darker metal, you're going to want something with a humbucker. Not necessarily a Les Paul, but something with double humbuckers. As a rule of thumb, single coils are better for clean sounds and humbuckers are better for distortion. That's not necessarily a clean, cut and dry rule to live by. That's just rough. That's usually what they're better at. If I had to do it all over again and had to buy a guitar and it was my only guitar, or even if today somebody said you can only have one guitar forever, what would it be? It's going to be an HSS Strat, a humbucker, single coil, single coil. That's usually a humbucker in the bridge and then single in the middle and single by the neck. So that way when you want to play distortion, you can switch to your humbucker and then you still have the 2 single coils for cleaner tones. Which guitar should you get? Maybe you have one guitar and you want to get another one, but you don't know what to get, or you don't have a guitar yet and you want to get a guitar. If you have no guitar, I think acoustic is a good way to go because you don't need an amp to play it. So that's just another cost. They're pretty inexpensive. There's a lot of beginner acoustics and there's a lot of great songs to learn on acoustic. I think it's really good to have that baseline acoustic foundation because eventually you're going to get an electric guitar that's going to let you play 90% of the time. And it's good to be able to go back and play an acoustic and have that sort of background. Now, as far as like manufacturer and shape go of electrics or acoustics, it's whatever's comfortable to you. Your first guitar, I definitely wouldn't just buy blindly on the internet. Most of these guitars people buy online, it's because they know what they like or they've played it in store and then they buy it online. So if you don't have a guitar, I would recommend going and playing guitars at a store. You don't technically need to buy one at that store, but figure out what you like. Regardless of what type of pickups or body style you like, there's pretty much a budget form of all those guitars. If you like Les Pauls, you can get Epiphones. If you like Strats, you can get Squires. There's budget options for all these guitars, and they're a good first guitar to get. Like I said before, this isn't going to be agreed with by everybody, but my opinion is I would like a humbucker single coil as the only guitar or my first guitar because you're going to be able to cover a lot of ground with that pickup configuration. Another thing I want to add is don't break the bank on your first guitar. It won't be the last guitar you buy. You don't know if you're going to stick with it yet. Get a cheaper guitar that you like because eventually once you find out what you do like, you'll be able to spend big money on a guitar that you know you like. If you buy an expensive Strat for your first guitar, or even a middle-end Strat like a Player Series, this is a Player Series Strat, $700, $800 is what it's going to run you. There's really no reason for you to buy that if you found out you don't like Strats. You could have got a Squire, which is not as expensive, just half the price, and found out that way. Definitely don't go out and buy a $2,000 or $3,000 Les Paul and then find out you don't like Les Pauls. Something I don't see talked about a lot on YouTube, and you won't find out unless you go up to guitarists and ask them specifically, is what gauge pick to use. Now I just want to start off with picks are completely up to your preference, whatever you like. I'm just going to say what I like and what I found out from picks. First of all, I like picks with grip on them. This one is a Dunlop. Dunlop makes like a tortoise, something tortoise. I have some, but I don't really use them because I don't like the way they feel, but they have a little bit of grip on them. These are the max grips. They kind of feel like sandpaper. The tortoise ones, they feel more like matte. They have like a matte finish, but these ones have these max grips from Dunlop. They feel more like sandpaper, and I like them a lot better. So I think you'll find for most straight picking, like metal and a lot of rock, most people like a thicker pick. I use a 0.88 for just picking, alternate picking individual strings, things like that. When I'm doing more strumming, like on an acoustic with cowboy chords and just big strums, because I'm playing big chords, I usually like something thinner. This is a 0.6, so it's a little bit thinner. It's just nice because when you're doing big strums with a thick pick, sometimes it feels like the pick is getting stuck on the strings. It's not sliding across the strings as good. I still do strumming, obviously, in songs like metal songs and stuff like that, and classic rock songs that have strumming chords. But if I'm doing like majority strumming, like I said, big cowboy chords, I like something a little bit thinner. It's a little less resistance on the strings and it slides across better. Okay guys, well that's my opinions on all these topics that I always wondered about when I was a beginner guitarist. I love making this video and shedding light on some topics that I don't see talked about that often. So if you have any more questions or want me to cover something I didn't cover in this video, please drop it in the comment section. As always guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. Please like, comment, subscribe to help out the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.